The Bible Breakdown is a discussion between a Black woman and man in America who no longer identify as believers in the Christian faith. We are both very silly, sarcastic people and will be mercilessly criticizing the Bible as we read through it. However, as a Black American, I would very much like to thank the Black Church and its history for being a source of organization for the civil rights movement and a community of caring for those in need. I am not in any way criticizing that. Christianity was used as a survival mechanism for our ancestors during the torturous treatment people of color have suffered for centuries. Like chitlins, the Bible was used to stay alive, but now we have access to much healthier options nutritiously and literarily. It also seems like people are not very knowledgeable about what's actually in the Bible. To avoid being accused of taking it out of context, we're going to read the whole thing. If you disagree with our views, please feel free to read along and prove us wrong. Peace. Please. Okay, I'm recording. So if you've never joined us before, this is, what were we saying? We're TK. And I'm Kat. Just T. I'm sorry. If you never joined us before, this is T and I'm Kat. And we're going to do a Bible study, but from the point of view of non-believers. So if you're just going into this cold, is this a good book? I don't know. We're reading the King James Version. We're doing, how many, do you think 3 chapters or is enough, or do you want to do 2? It's kind of late.
Chapter?
I felt like before, we had to do 3 chapters because you had to get the creation and the creation of, and in fact, let's do, on last episode of Bible study, God made the earth and then made the sun and the moon. And then he made some people. He made some animals. Apparently one of them could talk and talk to the lady and convinced her to do something she wasn't supposed to. And she did it anyway and got Adam involved, and he threw her under the bus, and God punished him for listening to the woman he gave him and kicked him out of the garden he built for them. And that leads us to, is there anything else you want to add? Did I leave anything out?
No, you pretty much summed it up.
Thank you. So now we're in chapter 4. I was going to go ahead and read. And Genesis chapter 4. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth, and why is thou countenance fallen? If thou dost well, shall thou not be accepted? And if thou dost not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, "What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth." And Cain said unto the Lord, "My punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me." And the Lord said unto him, "Therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold." And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod, and Nod on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch. And he builded. I'm not tripping, right? That says builded, right?
Yes, it does. Building
Okay.
a city.
That's okay. And he builded a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. And unto Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begat Mehulah, and Mehulah begat Methuselah, and Methuselah begat Lamelech. And Lamelech took unto him 2 wives, greedy, and the name of one was Ada, and the name of the other was Zillah. That was nice of him to give them names. And Ada bore Jabal, and he was the father of such as dwelt in tents, and of such as have cattle. And his brother's name was Jabula, and he was the father of all such as the handle of the harp and the organ. And Zillah also bare Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. And the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. And Lamech said to his wives Ada and Zillah, "Hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech. Hearken unto my speech, for I have slain a man to my wounding, and a young man to my hurt. If Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamelech 70 and sevenfold." And Adam knew his wife again, and okay, they show back up. And she bare a son and called his name Seth, for God said, "She hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew." And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos, and he began men to call upon the name of the Lord. Whew, thanks be to God.
Okay. Yeah. Once again, God did that fucking mind game when he's supposed to be
Omniscient.
Yeah, like if he already knew he killed his brother, why the fuck is he even asking?
Right. It's like, where's your brother at? It's like, okay, let's not do this. Okay, does it say, okay, because there's a lot of flowery language. This is the problem with the King James Version.
Because Shakespeare wrote it. That's why.
No, that's, once again, it's just the parlance of the time. Like, it sounds like Shakespeare because that's how people talk. Like, that was the vernacular because it's around the same time in history. But I mean, and maybe he did. Who knows?
Or
But there were other
actually,
literate people.
Shakespeare, it's not even one person, but
Yeah, a lot of times when there's a large body of work, we like the idea of one person doing everything, but it's usually quite a few people. But okay, so Adam knew his wife, and she had 2 kids. One of my favorite things about this story, even before they after he does the killing, excuse me. I mean, well, one of the big questions is, where did Cain's wife come from?
it's his sister.
I mean, with the information we're given, but then they say whatever. What are you getting from why did Cain kill Abel?
Out of jealousy.
Wait a minute. Your audio is being weird. Hold on.
Envy.
Envy?
Jealous ones still envy. Jealousy, envy. Jealous ones still envy.
Yeah, it sounds like God was really upset with this whole vegetarian thing that Cain was doing. Because it sounds like Abel was bringing him some fat and some meat. This tends to be kind of a theme later on, and I mean, spoiler in other books about like what kind of meat you're allowed to bring as sacrifices to God, which is basically stuff they would set on fire in front of an altar so God would hear them.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out God wants certain types of meat, and He doesn't want any of the cheap stuff. He doesn't want fruit. Apparently, that wasn't enough. Sometimes He wants a person. So you just kind of have to do it. But it just says unto Cain and his offering he had not respect. Like he just didn't respect his offering.
Yeah, sounds like God's an asshole.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, and they don't call him God. He's the Lord. And I mean, they put the Lord in all caps. That's why I keep hitting it so hard.
Well, yeah, I mean, it just sounds like if he didn't respect his offering, he could have just, gave him some tips on what he was looking for instead of shitting on him, especially in front of his brother.
Now, are you familiar with the concept of the curse of Cain?
Doesn't he like a scar or some shit like Harry Potter?
Well, some people say that. There's also some people who believe that Cain was cursed with black skin, and that was the mark. So that everybody, once again, who are all these bodies? Because as far as we know, they've only explained the existence of 4 people so far. And then they did a whole, let's see.
Yeah, this plot hole again.
Yeah, so he went out of the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod, east of Eden. And I think in certain translations, like Nod is like supposed to be a land of giants. Like maybe don't quote me on that one. That might be something I'm misremembering. But like, yeah, he got a wife somehow. She didn't need a name, just Cain's wife. That's fine. And yeah, we find out. And then this is weird too, because they never covered this in Sunday school about Lamech. So I
Yeah.
guess Lamech would have been like Cain's great grandson. Is that how that works? If Enoch was Cain's son and Enoch beget Mehujael and who begat Methuselah. So it's like his great great grandkid who took 2 wives and then wanted everyone to know that if Cain be avenged sevenfold, then truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold.
I don't know. I mean, I know sevenfold is like.
I think he's like 70 times 70. Or like, remember, like Jesus said that, like it might have been a saying, like maybe it's kind of like an idiom, like where you're just like 70 times 7. I don't know, 70 and sevenfold, maybe 7 cubed. I don't know.
Okay.
Basically, a lot. He's just saying like anybody who hurts me is going to be cursed a lot.
Okay.
Because God promised that anyone who killed Cain would be cursed sevenfold. Even though that doesn't make a ton of sense, like the fact that he immediately wanted to protect this guy who just murdered his brother out of jealousy.
Also, if we're just sticking with the hypothesis that Cain is black, then that's bullshit because black people are dying right now.
Yeah, they're not getting
Yeah.
it 70 and 70 fold. So that's
Yeah.
true. That's very true. I know the church that I grew up in, though, they did teach that. I mean, I had a white pastor, but he did teach that Adam and Eve were black because he recognized genetics. He's like, yeah, you can't get black people from white people, but you can get white people from black people.
Okay.
It's just genetics. Yeah, I think we should just do one chapter tonight. You seem very tired.
I am, but I mean, we can go like 5. It's not that long.
Once again, this is the Bible. It's basically like what is this, 5,000-year-old sleeping pill.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm waiting for us to get past the plot holes, but all right.
Well, I mean, is there anything else that
just
kind of...
keep introducing characters, and I'm just like, where the fuck are these people?
Well, yeah, that's very, problematic. But
And
once again, these are just the beginnings of storytelling, apparently.
the more which each passing verse, the more I'm just convinced this is bullshit.
Well,
It's bullshit.
I think this is the best that people...
And it makes me feel like it's bullshit because because I'm feeling like everybody that I've ever debated or argued with has never read this thing. They've never read it. They've never read it ever. Like, because if they did, there's no possible way that they could believe this shit as a grown human being. This literally reads like a fucking Harry Potter book or fucking Game of Thrones
wait, we gotta pause right there.
Or
Harry Potter was written very well, so let's not compare apples.
But I'm just saying, like this just feels like a big. This feels like a big book of magic. That's literally what this feels like. A big book of magic. I feel like I'm reading.
I mean, actually, they haven't really done anything that magical yet. Like,
you know what? I'm sorry. It feels like a fantasy. It feels like a fantasy book.
Sure.
I feel like I'm in a fantasy world.
Well, the talking animals are kind of a tip off.
Yeah.
Well, the one talking animal, but later on there is a spoiler, a talking donkey. Literally, like the concept from like Shrek, the talking donkey, that's from the Bible.
All right. So, chapter 5.
Okay.
This is the book of the generation of Adam. In the day the God created in the likeness of God made he him.
Oh my God. Now you have to know, strap in. This is some of the most boring shit in the Bible.
Okay.
So strap in.
Number 2, male and female created he them and blessed them and called their name Adam in the day. What the fuck? Why do you keep reiterating? It's like somebody.
You get paid by the word count. We've covered this.
It's like somebody just kept reiterating the same shit for like.
You're very cussy today. Are you mad? You seem very mad.
No, I mean you've already said it. I'm tired. 1, 2.
I'm sorry.
Like,
did you get something to eat?
I'm not eating that for 9 anymore. Male and female created he them. Verse 2. Male and female created he them and blessed them and called their name Adam in the day where they were created. And Adam lived 130 years. That's not even a real sentence. And Adam lived you don't even need.
We say 100 now, but apparently at this point in time, they said 100. And sometimes people use "and" when the next word starts with an H, even though that's usually reserved for vowels, words that start with a vowel.
And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness after his image and called his son his name Seth. In the days of Adam so there's Cain and Abel and then there's Seth as well.
Yeah, Seth is basically just Abel's replacement. Replacement kid. I'm surprised they didn't just name him Abel too. Maybe disable.
Or Abe. But anyway. And
They
all
gave him a
the
whole new name. That was good.
In the days of Adam, after he had begot Seth, were 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters. Okay, so people are now living for hundreds of years instead
Well,
of
once again,
the
this could be an
100.
idiom. Like I do that sometimes where it's like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in 100 years. And it hasn't literally been 100 years. I mean, I'm only 75 years old, so it's not 100 years. But, you know.
Anyway, in the days of Adam, he begot Seth were 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And all the days that Adam lived were 930 days, and he died. And Seth lived 105 years, and begot Enos.
Oh,
and
so
Seth
young.
lived after he begot Enos 807 years, and he got sons and daughters. And all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died.
I told you, this is brutal.
I don't give a shit.
And once again, it's probably repetitive too. Once again, this was probably some sort of
It's not
song.
even that. No, this is not even that. It's just like, I don't care how long they lived, especially when like there is no reason prior to this for me to care how long they lived. So anyway,
they're living a long time because they're listening to God. Like that's the Lord.
And all the days Adam lived 930 years, and he died, and Seth lived 105 years, and begat Enos, and Seth lived after he begat Enos. Wait, what? So he lived, and then he lived again?
No, they're giving the age he was when he had his first son, basically. And then they're giving how long he lived, like from birth to death.
Okay, and Seth lived after he begat Enos 807 years, and begat sons and daughters, and all the days of Seth
this
were
is
900.
Everybody's favorite two things: word problems and the Bible.
Okay. And all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. And Enos lived 90 years and begat Canaan.
Ooh. Now it's getting interesting.
Lived after he begat Canaan 850 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enos were 900. I feel like this is 99 bottles of beer on the wall.
You know.
Were 905 years, and he died. And Canaan lived 70 years and begat Mahalalel. And Canaan lived after he begat Mahalalel 840 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Canaan were 902 years, and he died. And Mahalalel lived 65 years and begat Jared. And Mahalalel lived after he begat Jared 830 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. And Jared lived in 162 years, and he begot Enoch. And Jared lived after he begot Enoch 800 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. And Enoch lived oh my fucking Lord. And Enoch lived 65 years and got Methuselah.
Oh, okay, we remember that name. Because he's the one who lived the longest.
I guess so. And Enoch walked with God after he begat Methuselah. First of all,
how do you get to walk with God? How do you get to walk with God?
I don't know, but Methuselah sounds like a girl's name, not a guy's name, personally.
How dare you? That is a manly, butch-ass name for the oldest dude who ever lived. You're welcome, readers.
Okay. And where was I at? And Enoch walked with the God after he began with Methuselah 300 years and begat sons and daughters, and all the days of Enoch were
Wait,
365 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not.
okay, so maybe is that an idiom for like they died? Like when you walk with God, that's when you're dead?
I don't know. I mean, either way, you're gonna walk with God. So whatever.
Once again, this is interesting, just kind of digging into this because I never spent that much time like reading the lineages. But I'm sorry, go ahead so we can get through this.
And he was not, for God took him. Verse 25. And Methuselah lived 187 years and begot Lamech. And Methuselah lived after he begat Lamech 782 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. And Lamech lived 182 years and begat a son, and he called his name Noah, saying, the same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil our hands, because of the ground which the Lord hath cursed. And Lamech lived after he begat Noah 595 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Thanks be to God that that's over. Whew. Okay, your thoughts? Or actually, you've been talking a while. Let me give you my thoughts.
Wow.
So this reminds me of when I was reading Ayaan Hirsi Ali's book, and she talked about growing up in Somalia. And when she was young, her grandmother had to instruct her on her entire lineage of their clan and their ancestors. Because when you're out and about, you have to introduce yourself and you have to list your ancestors until you found a common ancestor. So to me, this might be an example of like something that's similar to this practice where you were trying to get people to memorize their lineage.
Right. Yeah, I guess so. Sure.
And it also reminds me of the fact that, you know, Jewish people use a month-based calendar and not what we would consider, because this predates the invention of the calendar that we use now. So whatever they were using to keep track of time, it probably wasn't the 365-day calendar or 365.25, whatever the decimal is, for how we count our days. They use like a month-based calendar system.
Yeah.
So these years probably aren't the way we think of years, like for just to be
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah. I figured that.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're talking to the people, you know, I figure, you know, we're sharing this Bible study. So I just want that out there. There's not as much action in these two chapters as there was, you know, with the creation of the universe. But, you know, we're kind of getting a glimpse into the writer's world. And we got some familiar names. I remember Methuselah and Noah, you know, like that he's got a big thing coming up. We were all familiar with that story.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm intrigued to see where this is going to go because we're already at Noah. So I'm just like, we've just really been repeating the same stories over and over again. So who the hell else is in this thing that we've never even heard of?
You know what else this reminds me of too is the song we used to sing in Sunday school, or what we called it children's church. And it was the Father Abraham has many sons song. And I know we haven't gotten to Abraham yet, but it's just this idea of, you know, you got to count all your sons and daughters. I mean, they say they had sons and daughters, but they're really only naming the dudes. So we're learning that they think it's really important. You know, men are really, really important.
Yeah.
More so than women. Because were there any he did mention like the guy who took two wives. So basically, if you're willing to be polygamous, you can get your name written down. But everybody else who just had one wife, they were just like, there's obviously some woman there because he had some sons, but they don't bother to give them a name.
Yeah.
And this is just for me, because one of the reasons I'm not really a fan of the Bible as a moral guide is the fact that it tends to be anti-female.
Well, it has not really bore that too much so far, so.
Disagree. I just said like none of the women were listed by name. Like they just listed the dudes, except for two, because once again they were willing to be in a.
Two is not none then.
But how many? I don't want to do the math, but could we say that there were over like